All right. Hi there. Welcome to Nicholus Text Classroom. This is an introduction session. I thought it was best that we start off with some introductions. You have to get to know me. You have to understand why we have this channel, and also just, have a look at, our future plans. And I'm saying our future plans because this channel, it's not only mine, it's ours. So we are creating a community here. We will become family. This is one place where we will all learn, share ideas and and grow together. Right. So I think without any waste of time, let's get into it. All right. So this is our focus areas. So firstly, you will meet your educator, and then we'll look at the purpose for this channel, and then we'll wrap up the session by looking at the future. What are our future prospects? Right. Okay. So in terms of your educator, um, I am Nicholas Palani. I'm a chartered accountant SA, CASA. I have extensive knowledge, or rather extensive experience in auditing and teaching, right? But today I am, more focused on teaching. I am a senior lecturer for taxation, and the reason that I am focusing on education it's because I am following my passion, and now speaking to that passion where all this began. I started assisting, grade 11 learners when I was still in high school with mathematics. I When I got to university, I supported my fellow classmates who were coming with the science background. So they were doing sciences in high school, so they didn't have any accounting background, and they found themselves in accounting field. So I assisted the students to actually adapt into the accounting field quicker. When I was doing second year, I mentored first year students through the Center of Academic Excellence at my institution. And then I became a tutor for statistics and math for second year students when I was doing my final year. I also served as an academic trainee for taxation, where I gained formal teaching experience. So my first year of training, I did it in academia, and I was based in the tax department. So I was an academic trainee for taxation. Right. So after my first year of training, where I was an academic trainee, I had to go back to my firm, which was an auditing firm, where I had to go and then continue with my training, so complete the remaining 2 years. So when I got there in my second year, I started a program where I was assisting my fellow colleagues or fellow audit trainees with their CTA or PGDA studies. So those trainees who were still studying, we have who would be studying and also working at the same time. So I was assisting this cohort with their studies. So what I did was that I ran a program where I assisted them on weekends with their studies, where we were looking at all the four modules. And then something that holds a very special place in my heart, I am mentoring, APC candidates. I'm assisting them to prepare adequately for the professional assessment. And like I said, currently I am working as a senior lecturer for taxation. So this is just briefly about me. I don't want to, go into too much details about who I am, like where I've studied and the likes. This will make the video longer than necessary. Right? So this is just in a nutshell your educator. Right. Then why this channel exists, the important part. I think without this purpose we wouldn't have this channel. All right. So I'm hoping that this channel will assist undergraduate students build, confidence in their studies, hoping that it will assist them to master core text principles. And I'm aiming to do this by providing clear and structured explanations, hoping to assist them excel in their assessments through the guidance that will be provided. And I'm hoping that I will simplify complex topics. And obviously, we will have a look at exam technique because this is very, very important. Um, and then I'll share some study approach tips, which I hope will improve their learning efficiency. And I'm hoping to just be there and support their learning journey as they are busy going through taxation. And then for your CTA or PGDA students, this is postgraduate students. Um, Although this channel primarily exists to support undergraduate taxation students, uh, PGDA students or CTA students would still benefit from the channel. I was speaking to one of people who are in academia, someone who's very experienced at a senior level in academia, and they were just sharing the fact that section 31 and 42 seem to be a problem in general. These sections are a problem for students, and such kind of sections where they are deemed to be giving students problems in general, we will then address, even though those sections are sections that would be addressed at postgraduate studies. We would still address these areas in this channel. Um, and I mean, for your postgraduate students, if you've went through CTA or PGDA, you would know that there is a lot of information that is assumed. The information that you've learned uh, in undergraduate, in your undergraduate studies, is assumed when you get to CTA. So for some students, there would be a need for them to go back and just revise on some areas that they have learned in their undergraduate studies. So this channel will provide such a platform and ensure that you are able to revise on these areas. All right. And then in terms of us looking ahead, um, so let's firstly look at the upcoming content or our next video or videos. And I'm saying videos because some topics are too big and would need to be covered in a series of sessions rather than one session, because trying to cover such topics in one session would not be effective. Students might end up getting bored in the process, and we don't want that. All right. So we are going to start off by looking at VAT. So this is a big topic. So we start off by VAT, then we look at the other acts in the legislation. All right. The reason I'm starting off with VAT, and this is something that I'm doing at the university that I'm lecturing at in final year. I normally start with VAT, and the reason being that if you have to deal with tax implications, the first thing that you need to deal with is VAT, and then the rest of the implications would then follow. So we are going to start off with VAT. It's a big topic, so we will have a series of sessions looking at VAT. Once we are done looking at the content of VAT, then we are going to look at exam technique and answering format for VAT, more especially, your discussion uh, type of questions. You need to have a format that you use to ensure that you always score good marks on these questions. All right. So if you follow this format, I think you will almost always get to at least a 50%, and then you work your way, you know, towards then acing the questions. All right. And then we are going to have a session where we are looking at, effective use of the legislation. This is important. If you know how to use your legislation effectively, then you have your weapon. the legislation becomes a weapon that you take into the assessments. And I'm speaking to obviously the students who, are taking the legislation into the assessments venues. For those who are not taking the legislations into the assessments, then this video would not then be relevant to you. And then in terms of community building, it's something that obviously it's part of the future plans to say we need to build a community. We must be a community. We must learn from each other. We must support each other to ensure that we all master taxation, right? So I'm hoping to create a supportive space for undergraduate and postgraduate students, but also I'm hoping that there will be collaborations. Obviously collaborations between students, from different institutions, but also collaborations between us people who are in academia. Collaboration between academics. It's something that obviously I hope will happen in the future. There must be a shared learning. And then in terms of then the future vision, right? Um, I'm hoping that I will broaden the coverage of postgraduate areas, and not just wait for people to come and say these are the areas that students are struggling with generally. You know, I'm hoping that when capacity allows, then I'll be able to just have a channel that is dedicated to postgraduate students, or well, can still be this channel, but then I will then have to then deal with all the topics that are covered at PGDA or CTA. Obviously, this is all dependent on whether or not I have capacity. Um, and then I'm hoping that in the future we'll be able to share updates in South African tax law. you know the changes that we are seeing. Every year there are changes in tax. So I'm hoping then in this channel we'll be able to then share such changes with you guys. And something that I I've been speaking about quite a lot, recently. I think from last year, if not the year before, it's the launch of a podcast. This is something that has a special place in my heart. So if in the near future we can launch a podcast, I would be a very happy person. All right. So that is all that I wanted to share with you guys in this first session. Um, I hope you have enjoyed this session, and you are looking forward to more sessions that are coming. I'm going to end the video here, not to make it too long. Thank you very much for joining in, and I'll see you in the next session. Cheers. Bye bye.